Good morning and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Taranto. Today we have a guest with us from Cross Country Mortgage. We have Nick Marlin from the Marquee team. Hey Nick, thanks for coming this morning.
Hi everyone, great to be here.
So today we wanted to have a topic pertaining to mortgages, and Nick is going to talk to us a little bit about the difference between having a pre-approval for a mortgage and a pre-commitment for a mortgage. These are two kind of buzzwords that we hear a lot, and he's here to tell us what the difference is between the two of them and why you might do one versus the other. So Nick, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. I think this is a great topic and a question that we get a lot, so happy to speak on it. So pre-commitment versus pre-approval. I'll start with the pre-approval because that's typically the more basic.
Yeah.
So essentially a pre-approval would be we receive an application from a client, 99% of the time it's online, occasionally over the phone, but let's just, we receive the application online. We go through their income and credit and assets. So we talk to them, where's your down payment coming from? What do you do for work? If it's a standard W-2 salaried client, we're not really in a place where they're pushing the boundaries of their qualifications, anything like that. A lot of times, especially if it's, hey, it's Monday at 10 and I need to get an offer in Monday at noon, we'll look at it and say, look, everything you're telling us is clear. We'll get a pay stub or a W-2 to verify the income and say, look, good to go. Here's your pre-approval. Good luck with the offer. Let us know if we can help.
Yeah.
So those can typically be done within a half hour to an hour, depending on kind of the complexity of the application. Assuming it's a W-2 borrower, there's not a lot, not a lot of kind of questions on it.
Here's a public service announcement. Don't wait until you're making an offer on a property. It's not
100% agree. No, but it does happen, and if it helps someone secure the right property, we're more than happy to oblige. What I always say is I talk to people all the time, I'm sure you do too, that say, oh, I'm just starting, I'm not ready for the application, but just want to talk through, theories and, what we think we can do. And what I always say is, look, the second you start that process, you start looking at a house and you're going to find something way sooner than you ever anticipate. So I really try to push them to do the application when we talk, but there are just times when, it didn't happen. So that is a pre-approval. Now, again, our team, we're not issuing a pre-approval unless we are confident in everything that we've gone through. If there are any questions, we're going to ask for full documentation. We're not issuing that just to do it to get the deal done. So we want to, emphasize that we're doing that based on our experience, our team, everything that we've been through. If someone says, look, I make $200,000 a year, there's $250,000 in a checking account, the debt ratios are not pushing the boundaries, and we know the business that they're in and that salary lines up with what everything is going on, we're going to, feel confident in pushing that. And again, most of the time we'll get some type of pay stub W-2 to verify. A pre-commitment, on the other hand, typically I'll say will take probably a week from start to finish. So it's still not a huge time commitment, but just it's not 2 hours.
Right.
And in that circumstance, we'll do, again, everything we just talked about. So credit pull, review assets, income, where they're trying to look, the price point they're looking at. But what we will do is we will take all of their documents. So we'll take tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements. We'll do verifications of employment with their employers directly. We will, if there's anything else, any questions on taxes, stuff like that, we'll go through all of it, and it will be reviewed by an underwriter. So at that point, you essentially will be conditionally approved for the loan itself without a property in mind yet. And assuming nothing changes in terms of the loan amount, purchase price, everything like that, we're good to go. But the big part is we have the income and assets already underwritten. So it's twofold. One, to a seller, it's going to show that you are committed as a buyer to move forward. You've already gone through the process. It's the same thing as saying, I have a sale contingency, but my house is already on the market. You've already taken that first big step. The other thing is it really speeds up our process. So typically we're closing a loan, if need be, in 3 weeks. Now, we've closed loans that aren't fully underwritten ahead of time. And I think we did one in 7 days with an appraisal in a very tight circumstance where it had fallen apart with another lender and the deal was going to the buyer was going to lose the house essentially if they didn't close in 7 days, and we got it done. So not an ideal scenario, but we can do it. if we have already done that initial underwrite for the pre-commitment, the only thing we're waiting on is an appraisal if necessary and the title work from the attorney.
Yeah.
And if it's a condo, we're reviewing the condo docs. So we're closing those in 10 to 14 days without really too much stress because you've already taken that first week out of it and underwriting the file ahead of time.
Yeah. And I think the strength in having this pre-commitment as a buyer, when you're working with a real estate agent like Tom and I, when we present an offer, there's always a proof of funds or some type of pre-approval or pre-commitment. When you have a pre-commitment, brokers in the market understand what that means, that you have done basically everything you can to move the mortgage along, and all you need now is an actual property. So it's great to have those in place because it makes the financing much smoother, and it lowers the risk level for the seller, which that's always a part of consideration when you are submitting an offer. The agent on the listing side is assessing the risk of you as the buyer not being able to close on the mortgage.
Absolutely, because I think everyone's concerned. The buyer wants to be able to buy the house. The seller wants to be able to sell the house. Once they come to an agreement, the main concern is just that there's not going to run into any issues. If we've taken one of the biggest, contingencies and concerns of both sides out of that equation, it makes it a smoother process for everyone.
Yeah, it's a great use of time, and it also helps the borrower create a better relationship with you, right? Because they're further down the road in the process, and it's nice to have a relationship like that in place so that you have somebody to rely on to answer your questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you would also. Go ahead,
Okay,
Tom.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I love it. I've seen it on both sides of the equation, both as a listing agent and a buyer's agent. And as a listing agent, we've had deals that have been able to close much quicker because the buyers were so ready to perform and the sellers were thrilled. And so I just think it is one of the most powerful tools in our competitive market in this greater Boston area.
I agree. Well, Nick, we appreciate you joining us today and talking with us about pre-approvals and pre-commitments. If you have any questions about the mortgage process or are looking to get a mortgage, we encourage you to reach out to Nick. He is at the Marquee team at Cross Country Mortgage. And thanks for joining us for another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Joanne Taranto.
And I'm Tom Matthews. Cheers.
Cheers.